Hi, I'm Erin and I travel for a living.
Welcome, Erin. Erin, I know you, so this is going to be better and more normal because we actually traveled together in the past.
We have traveled together.
So I love traveling as well as much as you do. So we're going to get into a lot of that right now. So one
Good.
thing I want to is kind of give context to the audience. What is your actual like work title? So you travel for a living, but what does that actually mean in like a work title?
Industry. I'm in the events industry. So
Okay.
I manage a conventions, trade show planning team and a meetings planning team.
Okay.
So sort of all over the country, all over the US mostly, and a little bit of international as well.
If you could count up, just for context, how many places have you visited?
Like the limit does not exist. It's so many places all over the US and then other countries. I'm going to say like 10 or 12.
Okay. Have you been to all 50 states?
I don't know. I don't think so. I
Okay.
like all of those, like all of that, like Montana, North
Yeah,
Dakota,
North
like
Dakota. Yeah,
all of that. I've not been up there.
there's not a lot of venues for 400 people.
Okay, so there's not, but I was just at an event last night that was
Okay.
for like events people and it was
Yeah.
it was new venues, like introduce you to venues. And the first person I talked to was a guy who manages a ranch up in Montana for corporate
Ooh.
events. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I don't know how you exist in the cold." And he was like, "I live in San Diego." I was like, "What? What is how does that work?" Anyway, he
Yeah.
apparently just is in sales and you don't
Mm.
have to like be there. It's so complex.
Yeah. I'm sure the views are incredible. I'm wondering if that's like a ranch that like TV places visit too, like sometimes for like TV episodes.
I think so.
Mm.
I'm we're trying really hard to do some of that internally to our company, like because it's we're in Texas, so it's very, dude ranchy down here all the time anyway. But that feels like it would be like Texas in a different way, you know?
Yeah,
So I
sure.
I feel like I feel like that could be kind of a cool internal event venue.
I'm sure everybody that's maybe listening from North and South Dakota are going, we have
Yeah,
places.
I'm
um,
sure.
what inspired this career?
Oh, well, accident more than anything. So my background is I have degrees in math and engineering,
Okay.
and I built missiles and jets for the first decade of my career.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know if I knew that. Did I know that?
I don't know. I don't know. My bachelor's is math and my master's is systems engineering, and so I was a literal rocket scientist for a while. Humble brag. I
Hard
know.
flex.
It's just a cool party trick. I just in those like icebreakers of like tell us something cool about yourself, that's always my go-to.
Yeah, sure.
And then I don't know, it just I had sort of drifted around engineering and like I was out in the test labs for a while and I wrote requirements for a while. I was up in some top secret kind of programs for a while and just nothing really stuck. And
Mm,
um so there was an opportunity in business development and it seemed worth taking a shot. So I did and the sort of customer engagement work has just been extraordinarily fulfilling. So it's all kind of grown from there.
yeah, so that like explodes my questions because there's it adds like 30 more because that is such an analytical approach, right? Because I was going to ask you, like, did you study to do this? And obviously you didn't. You were an engineering major, math major, whatever.
Right.
And your job now is so people focused.
So it is. And it's very interesting and that I would say is the most challenging aspect of the job for me. So
Mm,
everyone I work with is a creative, which is very, very cool because it's very different from me. I approach everything as just sort of elegant problem solving, but my spin on it is very much analytical.
sure.
And like I can look at a design and say, man, I don't really like that. I something needs to change there. And I work with the most amazing designers who are like, right, I thought you would say that. And they're like it's too symmetrical or it's it's the lighting's weird or whatever and we've worked together long enough now that they just know but yeah, it's a very different perspective,
Mm,
but because of that I've been very, very intentional with people that I hire onto my team and making sure that they do all come with interesting, unique perspectives,
mm.
because I just think that diversity does nothing but help strengthen our results.
Yeah, so you're filling your weaknesses.
Right, right. the best boss I ever had told me like you should always like be trying to be the dumbest person in the room, right?
Mm,
Like I want everyone around me. I want to hire people smarter than me. I want to hire
sure.
people better than me because one, that makes me better, but two, it makes our team better. It makes the company better. It makes us show up better. So yeah, yes, definitely.
Yeah, not everybody has that because of insecurities of not being the smartest person in the room. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure that
that's a
is
good one.
fulfilling for you as a leader of that group, and also it makes your job so much easier.
It does. It does. It's very fulfilling. You know, people management is not a thing I ever thought, and I know we've talked about this. It's
Yeah.
not a thing I ever thought I would want to do, but I have found it to be the highlight of my career.
What part of it?
Just being able to advocate
Mm,
for people and being able to help them, you know, grow beyond themselves. And you know, I've had terrible bosses and I've had wonderful bosses, and I've learned from all of them. And
hmm
um, giving people an experience at work where they feel really free to be themselves and really empowered to make decisions and um, really to feel like fulfilled. You spend so much time at work every day
mm.
that you know it's such a huge part of your life. It ought to be a place where you feel really comfortable and trusted and valued and you know all of those things. And I've been in positions before where I didn't feel any of that. So I want people to feel that. I want them to grow into themselves and their careers. And from that aspect, it's been incredibly rewarding for me.
Yeah, the language you're using is really mature in that space. And you don't hear that all the time. So one, your team
Yeah.
should be super, super proud and happy. And I'm sure most of them are. So huge props to you because it's
Well,
it's a big leap to get into that sphere to really be garnering and protecting and potential and shoving that forward and telling them they can do it. So yeah, that's amazing.
but like kudos to them too, because you know it's all very much a group effort. I have about 10 people on my team, and so you know it's all of us creating this culture together, and
Sure.
like everyone's bought in, and everyone, you know, we've all decided as a team that like teamwork is number one for us, and supporting each other, and like if you're not in the spotlight, then you're a cheerleader. Like those are the
Mm,
only options, and you know, so all of us together have really been really purposeful about our culture on our team,
yeah,
and
brilliant.
yeah, you know, when people have buy-in, they're ready to go there with you. So,
Yeah, they're gonna run through the walls. Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what does a day in the life for you look like? And one really like maybe the office planning portion versus the actual travel, because I think they're probably totally different worlds for you.
Yeah, they are. Completely different. So, in the office, it's a lot of meetings.
Okay.
So so we don't pick up a hammer. Like we're not physically building a booth or
Yeah.
like moving tables into place to get a meeting space ready. What we do is a lot of liaising, right? So between the stakeholders in the business, the marketers, if you will, the
hmm
marketing teams, and sales, we we get objectives and goals and things from them, and then we meet with our vendors who help us achieve that. So we have a booth build, an exhibit house.
Okay.
So we meet with them and do some creative design and say, you know, they're launching this product and they want this thing to be the focus, and we need to have refreshments on the booth and some engagement opportunity. And we brainstorm with our booth builder on the convention side and with an event planning. So there's several people on the event on the meeting side, but with a hotel or a DMC, it's a destination management company. And
Okay.
so they're in a local city. The DMC will help you find the right space for your group and help
Sure.
you hire AV and hire entertainment and all those sorts of things. So it's a lot of liaising, but very organized and very project
Sure.
management style.
Yeah.
That's sort of where we lean. And then, you know, meeting with like what okay, so right now I'm planning our incentive trip. So that's for the
Okay.
top 10% of the sales force. And I plan that for our pharma division. So I do a lot of meeting with the leader of our pharma division to make sure
Sure.
that the trip is what she wants it to be and that it is rewarding enough for the top 10% and they're going to feel special and there's surprise elements and unique. And, you know, we have to think about all of those things about, is it going to be enough to
Yeah.
say thank you to these people? So that's like day in the life at the office. It's a lot of meetings. It's a lot of talking
Mm.
with my team about what do you think about this and have you ever done this and um, did you like the way that DMC worked? Okay, so that's in the office.
What's the most
Um,
stressful part of that portion?
Okay, so we're very lucky that we have a partnership with vendors and exhibit houses that we love. We work with well. We have amazing partnerships like
Sure.
that. Managing expectations to budget with our
Oh,
stakeholders is, I mean, it's the age old
yeah,
story, right? Like that's the
right.
huge challenge, I think, for everyone. But so there's this very interesting statistic that we got this week. We get all these industry
Yeah.
newsletters, and to plan an event right now, the same event that you planned in 2019, if you were planning that right now, 30% more expensive,
Wow.
just off on the top, 30% more. And that's, up to food costs and transportation costs and wages and like everything, inflation.
Yeah.
But I mean, budgets haven't increased 30% for
Right.
sure. So, trying to
Figure it
find,
out.
right, trying to find creative ways to achieve the goals and have the impact and keep up with the industry too. And,
Mm,
make sure we're not doing too much or doing too little or, all of those things. That to me is the biggest challenge. I think you would probably agree in your space too, right? It's
yeah, totally.
budget
No,
to expectations, always the biggest challenge.
1000%. Yeah, that's why a lot of projects get canceled, right? Because it's like, we
Right.
want this, and holy crap, it costs what now? So, and the longer you wait, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does a travel day look like? Then let's say like you actually traveling to get to the location, and then what does it look like when you're on location? What does that look like?
Okay. So tomorrow I'm flying to Boston.
Okay.
And I try to never travel before 10. I try to never take a flight before 10 because I just hate trying to get to the airport that early.
Yeah,
It
sure.
just, it bums me out the rest of the day. I go to bed real early. Like
Yeah.
I'm
You're
the
off.
worst. I'm
Yeah.
off. But I booked myself an 8 something flight tomorrow. I don't know why, but I did. So whatever. I have to go to bed early tonight. I have to get up early tomorrow. So I'll go to the airport park, get on the plane. And it's 3.5, 4 hours to Boston.
Mm,
So I won't get there till early afternoon. Um, and then I have an industry happy hour that I have to go to for an advisory board that I sit on. And then I have a
mhm.
dinner that I have to go to while my team is working on building the booth and managing our housing and registration in the city because we send a couple hundred people to the show. And
Sure.
so I have people on site managing all of that, and then our meetings, ancillary meeting, like all of that's happening. So I have those things tomorrow night, and then on Thursday, I'll go help with the booth build and make sure that that's all getting done and smooth for the show opening on Friday. And I'll also go make sure that my meetings team is okay. So all of that Friday when the show opens. So we have a booth run through in the morning. We show everyone how the booth works. They know, but we show everyone every time just because.
Yeah.
And then the booth opens at noon. So on the bigger shows, this is one of the biggest ones we do in a year. I'll generally help work the welcome center just because I have knowledge of the booth and I feel kind of useless not doing anything.
Yeah. So
So I like to be busy. So I'll set up at the welcome center, and it's the thing. I'm not trained on the products, so I can't speak to any of our products at all. So it's a lot of let me take you to someone who can help you. Whole lot of that.
a lot of liaison.
Please, let me take you over here.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so you're running pretty much the moment you hit the ground.
It's a lot of time on.
Yeah, sure.
And you know how that is. Like it can be very exhausting.
Mm,
Very, very tiring. I'll be there Wednesday to Sunday, and then I'll take a couple days for myself next week.
okay.
And
To
then
recharge. Yeah.
mhm, and then right back to it. I
Mm.
have another trip at the end of April and a couple in May. And
So when you're traveling, what stresses you in that piece?
I don't. It's traveling feels like the easiest part. It feels like the easiest part somehow. I don't
Okay.
know. I really love. I really love traveling. Like I love the whole everything. I love being in an airport. I love
Mm,
like top to bottom, the whole experience. I love it. Um,
interesting.
Mike, my husband,
Mm,
often like when we travel personally, he's like, okay, we're in the airport flow again because I get very much like in my own space and I
yeah.
have my routines. I stop at Starbucks and I get my tea and I pour it in my thermos and I put my thermos in the same space in my bag and and I go and get a bottle of water so I have it later. And I have all of these routines and
You have a process.
processes.
You've engineered travel.
I have. And it's just very, very comfortable for me
Sure.
on the road. And I do the same thing when I get to a hotel. I unpack in a certain way and I I get to the hotel and I hang up all my clothes and I steam them and I unpack my
Mm,
toiletries and I set up my desk and I plug in all
yeah.
my chargers and like I have all of these routines on the road. And it's kind of cool because it really is like I never stop. I never slow down. I'm always doing something here at the house. But
Yeah.
when I'm on the road, like there is no laundry to do. There are no
Mm,
dishes to do. There is no dusting to like I'm forced to sort of sit.
yeah.
Um so
So what do you do
it's
in that time?
oh, I read.
Okay.
It's my dream. It's my dream night.
Okay.
A book in a
What are you
hotel
into
room.
reading wise?
Man, I'll just read about anything.
Okay.
I love nonfiction particularly.
Okay.
Um, though I haven't been doing much of it lately. Okay, I'm gonna totally give you a book reco right now.
Okay.
And it's an old one, but I just discovered it and I've read it like 17 times now. Um,
Jeez.
Stephen King wrote a book about the JFK assassination and Lee
Get
Harvey
out.
Oswald. And oh my gosh, it is so good. And that'll happen to like around here. Lee Harvey Oswald is from where I live here.
Yeah.
He or not from here, but he lived here and he lived over in Dallas and like all of that is it's all
Yeah.
right here, so local and it's historical fiction. But I mean, it's Stephen King, so it's very
Yeah.
well researched and
Yeah.
it's just it's so fascinating to me. I'm in such a like, did you know kind of thing about I'm sure I am annoying everyone I know with all of this, but the book is so good.
Oh, that's fascinating.
It's so good. You got to read it.
Well, it's interesting that you get in your element when you're traveling, which most people would probably say the complete opposite. But you actually get in like your rhythm. Like
Mm.
it's Erin mode now, and I'm running, I'm hitting my checklist. Nothing changes even when Mike's with me. I'm doing the same thing every single time.
I think it's because I'm only taking care of myself. And
Mm,
I think it's a thing for most women, but for me I'm such an empath and such a nurturer and I'm always taking care of everybody else. My
yeah,
husband, my family, my team, my
right.
but at the like it's just me taking care of me. So it's like this little bit of like almost relaxing time even though it's, hustle and bustle. It just
That's so
feels like
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
a
like you
little
get
me
to
time.
yeah, little you time in the airport with
Mhm.
thousands of people running around you.
Yeah.
So lots of travel, lots
Mm.
of different things you've seen. Do you have any experience specifically that taught you something valuable with your travel? Like, is there a culture or a moment or maybe someone you met that it really like impacted you and it stayed with you for a long time?
Um Okay, so you and I are very different people like this. But I would never speak to a stranger.
That's how we met.
It is. I know. And that would never be me. I married that guy. But that that ain't me. So as far as like meeting someone on the road, absolutely not. There is a lot. There is a lot though that I have learned. Like there's a lot that I've learned
Sure.
just through circumstance. So I did the dumbest thing, Brendan. I was like, no, I can handle it. No, I can handle it. No. And I just kept adding on to this trip. So I was supposed to just go to Chicago, right? For a site visit, just to see the hotel, see the convention center. We've been there before, but it's a whole organized thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But then the lady on my team who was going with me was like, we really haven't seen those hotels in Boston. We should probably tack on Boston on the front of it. We can just go Boston, Chicago, and come home. I was like, sounds great. But then another thing came up where I really needed to be in Vegas at the beginning of that week. And I was like, it's totally fine. It's 1 week. It's not a big deal. I can do it. I'm going to go to Vegas on Sunday night. I'll leave on Monday night and red eye myself to Boston. And I'll do Boston for a night and then Chicago for 2 nights. I'll be fine. It was not fine. It was the opposite of fine.
Oh,
And
sure.
it just like kind of kept getting worse. Um,
Mm,
we like our flight from the red eye was fine. I slept for like 4 hours. It was fine.
yeah.
We went to bed early that night. No big deal. So we're leaving Boston the next day. Our flight got delayed, canceled. And then because I have flown so much, I have whatever status. I
Yeah.
called and I was like, get us on the next flight. And she was like, sounds great. And then that one got delayed until it was 4 hours delayed.
Oh my
But
gosh.
we had to be there the next morning. We had to get out on this flight. Had to be there the next morning. We have meetings the next morning. Okay. So I fly American. And in the American Airlines lounge, they were like, we can put you on a JetBlue flight that's leaving in like 45 minutes. Okay, I've never flown JetBlue before.
Yeah.
Sounds great. She said it's like a 45-minute walk and you're gonna sweat. I was like, oh my God. Okay, I guess. And then they lost our luggage and we had to make this late
Oh,
night Target run in Chicago where and
oh
so it just
my.
compounded into this thing. And where it could have been like, I hate everything, this is the worst day of my life. Instead, I just kind of chose to like, you can either laugh or cry. And so me and Lisa on my team like still have not stopped laughing about it. We and
Yeah,
we we shared a pack of socks that we got at Target because we had to have clean socks. And we both some text each other like putting on my Chicago pajamas tonight, like, and so it's just become this hilarious sort of bonding experience for us.
sure.
And I feel like we also had one of those the first time we met.
Yeah,
You and Jenny had a complete disaster trying to get home, but
yeah.
it's a thing that we still laugh about. We talk about it with the nieces all the time. Like every time we travel together, they're like, remember how bad it was, that storm? And oh my gosh, you know,
Yeah, that's interesting to do that with somebody you work with. I don't think I've ever experienced that, but if you get caught up in a stressful situation and you group up and team through that
mhm,
with a positive, you're going through it with someone, which is probably why it's like you said it, it's such a bonding experience.
exactly. It's like being in the trenches together. Like we
Mm.
have fought through it together and, you know,
Yeah,
We
that's
we were at
fascinating.
work the next week and Lisa was like, "I gave that sweater to Goodwill. I could not wear it again. I could not put it back on." So we like wore the same clothes for 2 days. We didn't have any choice. We didn't have any clothes. It was a whole thing. Anyway,
Oof, that
it's
sounds
it's hilarious is really all it was. It was just completely hilarious at the end of it. So, laugh or cry, those are your choices. I'd
what's
just rather laugh.
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Because yeah, when travel gets like that, you almost don't want to do it again. You don't really have a choice, but you actually get in like the zone of those and you're just like, listen, it's all part of it. I'm rolling with it.
Mhm.
That's fascinating. I guess you'd have to because you have so much experience with it. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. What are they? And I've been extremely fortunate that I've never been like abandoned in a city overnight,
Yeah.
anything like that. I've had a couple of flights cancel, but I've been very, very lucky with
Mm,
travel.
that's good.
Not like you.
You're bringing good vibes, apparently. I'm not doing that. Okay, with all of this travel, how do you balance your career and your relationship?
So that is probably the biggest stressor in my life. Yeah. I try to bring him whenever I can, but like we talked about earlier, it's 12, 15, 18-hour days. Like and so we're in the same space when we're sleeping, but that's it.
Yeah.
So it's not like we get to do fun stuff together. I try to save a little time to go to a museum or whatever one day. It just almost never happens anymore. So I'm just really intentional about connection.
Mm,
My mom and my sister and I are very close, almost too close, really. And so it's just, we have a text stream going just all the time. We call each other 2, 3 times a day. Like even when I'm home, I talk to Mike constantly. We actually both work for the same company
mhm.
for everyone out there. So we text, we call, and we can like instant message through work.
Yeah, yeah,
So, um, I mean, just being very, very purposeful about I'm gonna call you tonight. I'm gonna, I swear I'll be on. I swear I'll and also Mike streams
yeah,
games. And so a lot of times I watch while I'm
yeah,
like getting ready for bed or working in my room at night or whatever.
yeah. You get your
I
mic
watch him.
fix.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really fascinating. And I think one, because I know both of you pretty well, and Mike tries to get to that. But when you're gone,
Mm.
like he just fills that time with like creative things, right? Which is what we talked about. Like it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I have no obligations now. I just need to make sure I'm on a phone call. But he's like running around taking video at gym. Like he's just doing all these things he had backlog. And it's fascinating that I don't think people realize how hard and intentional you have to be with
Mm.
that kind of stuff to, especially with how much you have to travel. It is because I did it for 10 years and it's like,
Mhm.
you got to really set time aside. And when you have long days like you're going through, that's tough at times.
It is tough. And like I'll be in Portugal later this month and there's a huge time difference there.
Yeah,
And
another one.
and I'll be there for 11 days. 11, that is such a long time. And so that, like, those kind of trips, those do really stress me out. And there's like always one night where I cry.
Just put it on the list.
I know it's going to happen. I'm going to cry one night. It's fine.
What does that come from? Just everything catching up with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lonely, sad. Sometimes it's stress, but more often than not, it's just like, I just miss everybody. I miss my pet. I miss my
Sure.
house. Yeah. I'm a real homebody, which is weird for
Same,
being
yeah.
such a travel-y kind of person, but I
Yeah,
am
that's pretty opposites of each other there.
yeah.
Well, I bet you it makes you appreciate home
It
because you're
does.
not there.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It feels so like good and comfortable. And like last weekend, we had like no obligations on Saturday. So we just like pedaled around the house, like cleaning out the coat closet and like all this stuff. I was like, I haven't just like run Saturday errands in
Hmm.
months. That was amazing.
So
Love that.
speaking of that, how much do you lean on Mike because of that? Because, like he's got some of that, like during the weeks, things still got to get done. You might have obligations for the house or whatever that looks like. He is a big part of carrying that load as well, too, I'm sure.
He is. So before I started doing this job, he was a consultant. So he
Mm-hmm.
traveled like I do now.
Mm.
And so we've been married for more than 20 years now. And so we've just always been really understanding of like, you're on the road, that means I take more of the share of the household stuff, and
Yeah,
then vice versa. But also there's battles I just choose not to fight. Throw some money at that problem and the yard just gets done.
understood. Yeah.
Throw some money at that problem and someone comes in once a month to dust the baseboards and clean the ceiling fans and things like,
No, I got you.
make our lives easier. Because
Yeah.
it's like, if I'm gone all week, I don't want to come home on Saturday and like mop.
Well, you're probably like, what does your recovery time period look like? Like when you come back from Portugal for 11 days, like you said you take a couple personal days, but like, what is that? You got
I
to
do.
veg.
Yeah, totally. And I will say, like, I'm 41 now. The recovery is significantly different than it was when I started this job at
Sure.
30,
Wow.
28 when I was, at my previous, like, it's just much different. So, I'm also really careful about like how I treat myself on the road. Like
Mm,
I can't do like a million 18-hour days in a row like I used to. It's very silly that I even play the charade because my team knows what I'm doing. But I always tell them one night on a trip, like, I'm having dinner with a friend. Like, no matter what city we're in, I'm having dinner with a friend. It's just me. I'm my own friend. It's just, and I go to a restaurant by myself and read a book while I eat a lovely dinner of
yep.
I don't even care what. So I do try to do those like treat myself things, or like, I for Portugal, for instance, I bought a fancy shampoo and conditioner that I wouldn't normally buy for myself. Little treats to keep sanity on the road.
No, that is so true because I remember being on the road and they would ask like the group of people you work with all day, like, oh, we're all going out to dinner. And I'm like, I've been with you people for the last
Mm,
12 hours. Like I need a cutoff point. And I would go
right.
eat dinner by myself. I would ask for a booth. I'm that
Yeah,
guy. I'm sure you may be
I do
that same
too.
person.
It's so good.
It's just, and it's weird, but at the moment it's something you need to just get, like you need that space.
Yeah.
Mm,
And to get out of my hotel room, like, I know me
yeah.
better than to just sit in my hotel room by
And
myself
cry.
every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know myself. I can't do that every night. I gotta get out. But I
That's
do,
funny.
like, I have learned to always take a book with me, like a physical book too, not just one
Mm,
on my phone. Um, and I don't know, it just feels like a real treat. Like, I would never do that at home. I would
yeah.
never go to a restaurant with a book when I'm here at home. So it's a special thing that I do. And like, I'm in Chicago a lot because there's a huge convention center there.
Yeah.
It's the biggest one in the US.
Okay.
And so, like, I have a special restaurant that I take myself to, and only myself to. And only when I get to know people really well and I really like them do I reveal my special restaurant, my me restaurant, Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's
The
almost
little
like you found
rituals.
these these tiny wins for yourself
Hmm.
just to keep your sanity as you're,
Yeah.
having to do this. Yeah, that's interesting. How about the health side of it? Like you have to balance your relationship because eating right on while you're traveling
It's the
is
worst.
it's the worst.
It's horrible. It becomes this like I know I'm going to be in a city for 7 days or whatever. So I go to a grocery store and I get like protein bars and bottles of water, and I almost obsessively drink iced tea. So and like Lunchables. And a lot of times I'll get to the end of the day and realize that I had like 6 Ritz crackers, a Lunchable, and 2 protein bars. And while
Like a
that's
1,000 calories in 18 hours.
and it's like, no wonder I feel like crap all the time.
Yeah.
You know, or like at a meeting, our national sales meeting this year was in Nashville at the Grand Hyatt there, which is a beautiful hotel, and so lovely, and they were so wonderful to work with. But they made these croissants every morning, and they they were breathtakingly delicious.
We love a good croissant.
Oh my God, they were so amazing. And they had, I don't know how Nashville in February got this incredible fresh fruit, but they had the most amazing pineapple. So I found that like for several days, I had had a croissant and pineapple for both breakfast and lunch. It's not real food.
No, you're
You
right.
got to have a chicken breast in there somewhere. So, I mean, it's not a thing I do really well at all. It's probably the next thing I really need to figure out for myself, a better balance on that.
I think the grocery store hack is what a lot of people don't
It is.
realize. It's the best way to do that. That's the first thing I did too. I'd unload my car or whatever if I was traveling, or my luggage, and then it's straight to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Waters, like, because sometimes you just don't want to go out and deal with people. And sometimes, especially after a long day, and having food in a tiny refrigerator and your necessities, you feel relieved.
And there's always a CVS close, which most of the time has enough,
Yeah, to get by. That's true. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
You kind of already talked about your worst travel day story, which I think was the one that you kept pushing. So
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
If somebody was looking to get into this, if you were going to go back and tell your 28-year-old self, like, what skills, what attitudes, what things would you prep yourself for that were really beneficial that you learned throughout this time in this role?
So I got into this by a really good boss that I had very early in my career told me to always take the weird jobs. It's such good advice, right? It's such good advice. And so the opportunity that I took at my previous company was, nothing that I had education background, whatever, any of it for. The hiring manager just took a chance on me. And so and it's become like my life's passion. I can't see myself ever doing anything else. I truly love this industry and want to keep doing it. But I think the couple of things that really got me there from the transition from engineering into events, is really just a positive attitude. Really just transferring those skills and a customer service kind of attitude, and an almost delusional belief that I can probably do anything pretty well and figure most things out. So I think my parents loved me so much and believed in me so much that I kind of came out of it with like, I mean, I bet you could put anything in front of me. I bet I could do okay at it. And I think that sort of like fake it till you feel it kind of attitude is what gave me the like time to learn what I'm doing and get good at it. I'm a huge believer in fake it till you feel it. Huge.
So one, you had enough confidence to, well, either from your upbringing or your boss just saying, take the weird job. I think that's such a fascinating quote. I don't know if I've ever heard it that way, but it's exactly right. It's, if you're going to wait for when you're ready, you're never going to be ready. So just
always take the one that you don't understand and you don't think you're ready for. And I never thought I didn't know this was a job before I was doing it,
Yeah.
Always take that one.
So really you just leaning into it, not being afraid, and you'll figure it out and you'll be successful as long as you have the right attitude and you kind of keep ticking along.
And a little bit of delusional sense of self.
Oh, that is a huge superpower because not many people have that.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of people who believe in me.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. Thanks, Mike.
That's very true.
Oh my gosh. Get you one of those. Jenny's that way too.
One of those.
There is no bigger cheerleader in the world. So good.
Yes, I would agree. It's so funny. And if anybody, I mean, I might as well pull the lid back. If anybody feels like this background is similar to a previous episode, So Mike, who was on the content creator episode, is actually Erin's husband. So
Hmm.
if you're wondering, wow, who is this Mike and how wonderful he is? Episode 1.
He turned it all pink for me. I
I
told
know.
him I wanted Barbie chic up here.
That's funny. What is a travel mistake you see all the time and you just shake your head?
Flip-flops in the airport.
Dang,
Don't do that.
why? I don't do it. I think it's terrible as well, but
It's disgusting. Airports and airplanes are disgusting. Put on closed-toe shoes. Don't do that.
That's a hot one. Ooh, there's gonna be a lot of people not happy with that one, but I totally
my
agree.
sister will be personally offended.
The other thing is, if you have to run, you're not running.
Mm-mm. Not in flip-flops.
You ain't making it.
Mm-mm. Nope.
That's a good one. That wasn't even in my sphere. Well played. Has traveling for work ruined personal traveling for you?
No, I'm obsessed.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, obsessed. We will get on any plane, anywhere, anytime. We have always we'll go anywhere. We don't care. We're thrilled to jump on a plane and see anything. Mike didn't travel much as a kid, and when I was a kid, we mostly went to see my grandparents in New York. We didn't do a lot different than that, and it was amazing. Don't get me wrong, but there's so much world out there, and there's so much on my list left to see. Like we have barely scratched the surface.
When did that itch start with this job, or did you have it prior with traveling?
I would say I had it prior. I don't think I had the skill set to like make it much of a reality.
Okay.
Before I started in this role, we really mostly went to see family. And you know, like Disney World, like things that are easy. I feel like going to the harder places, like doing the harder things, that's mostly through just experience of traveling more.
Yeah, so it hasn't curbed it at all. You still you would turn around, come back from a work job or a work trip and get right back on that plane.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Most people don't want to do their day job in their spare time, and you're like, I'm all about it. But your day job's also awesome, so maybe that's why.
I love my job. I love my job. I feel so lucky. I love what I do, and I love the people I do it with. It is such a gift.
Well, and yeah. Well, and you're sharing that positivity with your team. Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing.
Not everybody would even have that approach with that job, so. So traveling's changing quite a bit. I'm sure you've seen a ton of that already in your experience with your traveling. What was the biggest change that you've seen since you started this job, and where do you see any major changes coming in the future?
I haven't been on an even halfway empty plane since pre-COVID. Like every flight that I have been on is completely full. Everyone.
That's interesting.
So I don't know if they're running fewer flights or what. Also, air is so expensive right now. It is so high. There's still some of that revenge travel kind of thing happening. We're seeing a lot of that in the industry.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, like people are ready to get back to live. They're calling it revenge travel for missing those couple of years of getting out and about.
Interesting.
Which is
I never heard that.
So clever, right? I do love the terminology. Things that I see that are up and coming. It's been really interesting in this role seeing travel trends. So like right now, you cannot get into Nashville with a group, period. You need to look a year and a half out. Nashville is all the rage right now. Everyone is going there. Everyone wants to be there. It's the biggest and best. Holy moly. You got to go to Nashville. Oh my gosh. And so to see those like trends go up and down of these different cities, and you know what they're telling us are kind of up and coming cities, and you know, like Charleston and these like B-level cities that are now becoming A-level because you can't get into Nashville. So have you tried Charleston? Have you tried Louisville? Have you tried like it's seeing those trends is very, very interesting to me from a analytical perspective. I love that.
Yeah, I would have never even thought about that as they're trying, because I'm sure they're vying for your business, right? Or business like yours, because you're bringing a ton of potential money into the area.
Yes. So some cities are vying for our business, but like historically in Vegas, no one will negotiate with you on anything. They don't care. They don't have to. There's 5 people behind you waiting to rent out the same space for what you're renting it out for or more.
Okay.
So there's no negotiation in Vegas, period. And now we're finding that more and more because of this revenge travel thing. Like, Nashville doesn't need your business because there's a bunch of groups waiting right behind you to take the same time. So we're finding more and more that we're a little bit like our hands are tied a little bit more than they used to be because no one really needs our business.
Sure.
It's heavily favoring hotels right now.
Do you see that? Do cities constantly rotate? Like
Yeah.
Nashville's hot now, but and then you'll be like, oh, Nashville, look who comes crawling back.
Oh yeah.
What
Where were you
up?
3 years ago, Nashville? Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So
Yeah.
Nashville's the hottest right now. What's
Hottest.
one that completely flipped that was super hot that isn't as hot now?
Oh, I don't even know. I don't feel like I've been doing that side of it for long
That's fine.
enough to know that. Yeah, I don't know.
No worries. Totally fine. All right, I want to get into some personal kind of favorites of yours. So, top 3 places you spend your own vacation hours on.
Disney World. So we started taking our nieces a decade ago or more, and they just love it. And we have told them we'll take you anywhere you want to go once a year, and they just pick Disney World every time. And we love it, and it's easy and it's good. And so Disney World is what we do.
Okay, so before we move on, favorite place to stay in Disney World?
Beach Club.
Favorite park?
Epcot.
Favorite ride in Epcot?
Soarin'.
Baller! Let's go!
It's like flying.
Yeah. Did you see they just got patented for a new, more movement Soarin'?
Yes. What is it going to be?
I don't know. I just hope the smells keep coming because it's the best part.
It's so good.
Okay, what's your other 2?
So probably 15 years ago, we went with a bunch of our friends to Yosemite National Park. I swear I had no idea places that pretty existed in the US.
Yeah.
I had no clue. And we've been back a couple times, and I would go there for every vacation for the rest of my life. It is the most gorgeous place.
Wow.
It is unfathomably gorgeous. Love that. Absolutely. And then place number 3, I going to see family in upstate New York.
Okay.
Have you been to upstate?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
People just think of New York City, and it's as soon as you get out of that, it's unreal.
Have you been to Cooperstown?
I have not, no.
It's like from a storybook. It is the most beautiful town. The Baseball Hall of Fame is the most incredible museum. There's the Otesaga Hotel on Cooperstown Lake. It's picturesque and lovely, and like walking through like Gilmore Girls or something. It's amazing. I love it up there.
Those are 3 bangers. Well done. What's your favorite thing to do in upstate New York when you're there with family? Do you guys do anything like traditional?
Yeah, we go to Cooperstown every time.
Okay, that's awesome.
It's my dad's family. My daddy had 2 brothers. He passed away when I was 14, but both my uncles are still alive, and they're just huge baseball fans. Huge. And I mean, I'll watch a game of baseball. I love watching baseball. I don't follow it or anything. It's just a lot of fun. And the town is so pretty, and the museum is so well executed, and it's just it's a beautiful city.
And you have a bit of nostalgia with that, right? It's what you've been doing since you were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are 3 places you haven't visited yet but are on your bucket list?
Okay.
Oh, she's pumped.
This is very exciting. So Greece, because I'm a big math nerd, and like so much early math happened there. So, like I need to go, right? Need to.
That's a good one.
Such a good one, right? Have you ever been?
Yeah. No, I have not. But I'm not sure everybody has that reason, Erin. So everybody says Greece for like the water, the islands, like the whole house is up the side, and you're like, I want to see the math equations on the wall. It's amazing.
I do. I want to like stand where they stood, my heroes. So Greece for sure, and I mean it is beautiful. I do want to see it, and then Egypt.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Why?
Oh my gosh, ancient Egypt.
I mean, I don't say why in a bad way, but like, what's the peak interest there?
So, the like human history that has withstood time. So we were in Rome last summer, and ancient Egypt was ancient enough to Romans that they had museums.
Dang.
Like the scale of time. Yeah. The scale of time of that civilization and what has existed and what we still have of it, like It is
I think you
truly
just blew
mind-boggling.
my mind. So you're telling me the ancient Romans had museums of ancient Egypt?
Yeah, it was like super fashionable to go to Egypt and
What?
like, and like bring back stuff. So when we were in Pompeii, there were paintings on the walls, that are still there that they've unearthed. And like it's a really crude drawing of it like a crocodile because someone in that house went to Egypt and was like, here's what a crocodile looks like. Because it was like a very trendy place for them to go and see things.
Oh,
And all over Rome, there's like these obelisks in the piazzas. Well, they're ancient Egyptian obelisks. Like they just took them from Egypt and because they were so ancient to them, they were like, this is really cool. We got to have this and put them
hmm.
out on display for all the Romans to see too. So
That's crazy. Okay.
definitely want to see that. That's a huge one for me. And then, what's my third one? I'm going to say, okay, so in 2020, we were supposed to go to South Africa
Mm.
and COVID hit. So
And the world stopped.
that got yanked away from us. So I would say that I would really love to take that trip.
Okay. What are you going to do there? What's the plan?
Okay. Lots of things. So
If you haven't noticed, Erin's quite the planner.
I I have a lot of things to do. So I want to see, like we were supposed to be in Cape Town, want to see all of that. I have a colleague who's been there who had this
Amazing.
whole list of things we're going to do. Great. Want to see all of that. I want to go on safari desperately. Desperately. I
Mm.
want to do like see the big three, the whole thing. And then also, and Mike is not on board with this, but I'm working on him. I I really want to take an excursion right down to Antarctica.
Get out. I don't know if I
So
thought about
rad,
that.
right?
That would be really
So
rad.
rad. Yeah.
That would be an experience. Because they have those huge, like, snow caravan things that they
Uh-huh.
take people. Yeah, that's cool.
Uh-huh. Yep. It's on the list. For sure.
Why is he against it?
I don't know. I
It would be
really
an
don't
amazing video idea.
know. Also, it's like he's such a warm-natured person that I feel like let's go to the coldest place on the planet. You're gonna love it.
That's true.
Oh, and speaking of honorable
Yeah.
mention is y'all were talking about Iceland,
Mm-hmm.
and that is way up on the list.
I
Like
wouldn't
seeing
go
those
now
north,
with all the volcanoes, but yeah, it was incredible.
but seeing the northern lights, that's right up there on the list.
The thing that blew me away about Iceland is cleanliness. The entire country is supported. They support each other. So like the
Yeah,
entire warmed by geothermal. It's all excess waste by the way they their electricity comes from geothermal power. Everybody's really fit
amazing.
and really tall. I walked
Oh,
through the capital city at midnight and wasn't worried at all. It's super safe. There's
that's
76
incredible.
people incarcerated in the entire country. Like,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, 76. It's like 270,000 people and there's 76 people in jail.
That's amazing. It's way up high on the list.
It's very cool. That'd be a flight for you guys though. Holy smokes. Because it was 6 hours for us, so it'd probably be what, 10? You're what, 3 here, maybe? 2 to 3?
It was 11 hours to Rome.
Yeah. How was that?
It was like 9 over and like 11 and a half back, which Mike didn't know. He kept saying that 7-hour flight is going to be awful. And I was like, it is. How are we going to make it?
I hope you sleep, buddy. Oh god.
Yeah, it
And
was.
then
I mean,
he knew at 8 hours something was drastically wrong. It's so funny.
well, also I got upgraded and he did not.
That's another thing we got to talk about as well. Top 3 travel hacks that you learned and utilize on every trip.
Okay. So pack your carry-on carefully
Ooh.
because if your luggage gets lost, you want to have some essentials. I recommend, from personal experience, a toothbrush.
Okay.
Although any hotel worth their salt will give you a toothbrush, but still, I always keep one with.
Nice.
Always keep one with me, and a change of clothes, including undergarments.
Yes.
In your carry-on.
Okay.
Travel hack number 2. Okay. For me, I always like to have a rolling carry-on so that I can put my backpack on top of it because my laptop gets heavy and I'm a weenie about carrying things. So I always have a rolling carry-on and a backpack with a strap on the back to go over the thing.
That's brilliant. Not as many people utilize that as you should.
It's essential. I
You
can't
can actually
carry.
work out of your backpack sitting, then you have all your stuff like right in front of you. It's brilliant.
It's so good. It's so good. But I mean, I can't carry my own stuff, so I have the rolling bag, so it will literally just
And you
carry
don't
my
have
stuff.
Mike to carry all your stuff.
I know. It's the worst. It's the worst. Okay, so there's travel hack number 3. Like, get a strong guy to come with you.
We did go through his gym stats in his
Oh,
episode. He was putting it off as much as he could. And I said, well, everybody needs to realize you pick things up and put things down.
he's very proud.
Yeah. What are 3 travel essentials you never leave without?
Okay, so this is very personal
Okay.
to every person, but like I said earlier, like I need things that make me feel, like little treats or like self-care kind of things on the
Mm-hmm.
road. So I always bring my own hair dryer because I just like to have my own hair dryer.
Okay.
It's better than hotel ones, and I don't know. I always take that. I actually have 2 of so here's another travel hack.
Ooh, okay.
I bought 2 of everything when I started traveling like this. So the straightening iron that I like, I have 2 of them. And one stays always in my bag and one stays, here at the
That's
house.
brilliant.
I have 2 of the hair dryers and 2 of the brushes and 2 of everything. So that's my other travel hack. Ignore getting a strong guy. Do that. Have an identical thing on the road that you use at home, because then you feel like yourself, like
True.
I can do my hair on the road the exact same way I do it at home, and I feel like myself.
You're moving frustrations. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. I feel like I lost track of the question.
That's okay.
I just ADHD'd myself away from the question.
Travel essentials you never leave with. So two
Okay.
or whatever you use at home for health, for care.
Yes.
One.
That's one. I always have an iPad to watch movies on the plane. I could use my laptop, but it's like hard to get out.
Yeah.
And then always wet wipes, like a ridiculous amount of wet wipes. Wet wipes and baby wipes. Now, here's the secret about baby wipes.
Okay.
They will get any stain out of anything, period. I don't know what magic they're made of. But when the nieces were real small, I like got mustard on my shirt. My sister was like, here, and like got mustard out of a white shirt with a baby wipe. And I was like, what is that? And she said, I don't know. And ever since then, I always keep baby wipes with me. So baby wipes and wet wipes, because you got to wipe down the plane. You got to wipe down, the doorknobs and things in your hotel room. Those are my essentials.
Okay. Best airline and why?
I only fly American.
Specific reason?
Because we're in DFW and it's a hub here.
Sure.
They also have a lot of partner airlines worldwide. So like when we're looking to fly to Europe or Asia, they have good partnerships. And since I have status with them, it makes it easier.
Yeah. I mean, that status has got to be super beneficial for your personal travel too.
Totally. It's the best. And like, those are the silver linings of being gone this long, is that like I get to keep my miles and, so we don't pay for a lot of flights personally because we just use miles for them,
But you also give up a lot doing what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Best hotel chain and why?
Okay. I'm going to be a real snob right now.
Snob alert. Snob alert.
Snob alert. Have you ever stayed at a Rosewood hotel?
No.
Oh my gosh. Get ready to live. I can only do it when it's for a work trip because it is so expensive. But they are an absolute delight all the time.
Huh?
But for like every day, I try to consolidate all my points with Marriott, because they have across the spectrum, like low end to high end. Ritz-Carlton is a Marriott, so you can sometimes find a good deal on your Marriott points to like stay at a Ritz, which is
so they have a good kind of partner system as well for them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They're also partnered with Uber. So like when I Uber, or when I only do Uber Eats on the road, that's another like self-care treat that I only do when I'm on the road. Yeah. You earn points for that.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. Best airport and why that you've flown through?
This is crazy. I have favorite airports. I have favorite airport restaurants. I have all of it. I love the San Francisco airport.
Ooh.
It is, SFO is absolutely beautiful. They have my favorite little market right in the terminal that we always fly in and out of, although it's changed since COVID, but I can still I still get to that little market. The lounge access is the American Airlines lounge is really lovely there. It's clean. It's fresh and bright always.
Mm.
There's a yoga room, and as you know, yoga is my passion.
She's shaking her head for those of you who can't
Absolutely
see
not. That was dripping with sarcasm. It just always makes me laugh as I walk past it that there is like a set apart yoga room like right over here.
It's funny. Hey, so you touched on what's your food look like at an airport? What's your go-tos?
I try to go with a sandwich, but like a hot one.
Mm.
Here's my worst travel day. On our 10th anniversary, we were going to San Francisco for the weekend, and I ate a cold sandwich at the airport, and it gave me food poisoning.
Yikes.
And it was the worst night of my life. And it was at a Hyatt in San Francisco, and I wanted to die. I hated everything. So I never eat cold food at an airport. I always eat cooked food at an airport.
There's a hack.
There's a
Yeah,
hack
because
for
at
you.
least if it's going to be cooked, it may cook that bacteria out. Yeah, no, if you've never had food poisoning, it is the worst thing on the planet.
Oh my gosh, it's just nothing. It's like I'm laying on a hotel bathroom floor.
Truth. If you have food poisoning at home, is a different story than being on the road.
Oh
I
my
had
gosh.
it in college on a college floor full of
Oh,
7
no.
men. It was disgusting.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I always do cooked food, but I try to do like a hot sandwich because it's filling and lovely and not like super greasy or
Yeah.
smelly or anything like that. That's my go-to.
Awesome. What does
And
retirement look like for you?
whew,
Well, sorry, you were going to jump in with something. What were you going to say?
no, I was just going to say I always try to drink plenty of water too. I often fail, but it's very dehydrating traveling. So
I don't do a good job with that either. And I notice when I get there, my health is already jacked from
Yeah.
day one. It's not like you have to drink more water than you think is necessary.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You don't even realize from the stress, from the sweating, from the just everything.
From the dry air in a hotel and an airplane, all of it. Yep.
Yeah. So
Plenty of
retirement, what does that look like for you?
I mean, I think Mike and I would just like to travel. Like just keep
More of
seeing
the
all the
same.
things. My gosh, there's so much to see though. Like
Yeah.
we didn't even touch on like Japan. I want
Mm.
to hike up parts of Mount Fuji. I want to see Tokyo at night.
Yeah, same.
I mean, there's just so much to do, and you know, you can't possibly do it all in a lifetime.
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
sad, isn't
oh my
it?
gosh, yes, like Fiji. Fiji's way out there. I want to see Fiji, but that's a real commitment to get there. So I feel like you almost have to be retired to do some of those longer ones like that. Anyway.
Yeah, Australia is kind of the same way. Well, that's what, like a 24, 25-hour flight or something like that.
So I went to Australia once.
Okay.
Did I tell you this?
No.
Yeah. I had to go for a site visit for a convention we were going to have down there. And I flew I flew from DFW to Chicago to Hong Kong to Melbourne.
Wow.
It was the stupidest routing. And then on the way back, it was Melbourne, Hong Kong, LAX, DFW. It was so dumb. I was messed up for days. And so, yes, you need like a solid couple of weeks there to make it worth it. And then like a week at home to recover from it. It's crazy.
Any tips for jet lag?
No.
It just sucks.
It just sucks. Try to stay awake as long as possible. Try to get on the time zone you're on as quickly as possible. And
so you got to fight that first day.
Yeah. Also, no tips for sleeping on a plane. It's horrible every time.
It is horrible.
Take a Benadryl.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
No doubt. Okay, well, that's all of my questions. One, this was amazing. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I mean, you dropped some crazy travel tips on me too.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So there's a guy down the way from me at work at my desk, and he writes little questions on his board all the time that are just thinkers. And he has one up there that has got me completely gagged. So it says, I have thought about this like 24/7 since I read it. Are there more wheels or seats in the world? This is going to haunt you like it haunts me.
Are there more wheels or seats in the world? Mm-hmm. And seats could be anything. It doesn't have to be a car.
Like not the ground. I think it like
no, but like airport seats don't have wheels, but there's so many cars. Oh my God, Erin.
But like your luggage, my luggage has 8 wheels, because it has those little doubles.
Oh my God. I didn't even think about that. I was stuck on cars like an idiot. Well, that's a well, that
Uh-huh.
is we'll leave you with that. You're welcome. Oh, that's
It's a
deep.
real thinker.
Yeah, I'm sure
Let
someone's
me
going to look that up and
let me know what you come up with.
well, once again, thank you, both you and Mike, for doing this. You
Thanks for
guys are
having
my
me.
first 2 episodes. Yeah, do you have anything you want to promote social wise, or
No.
you?
No, I'm not on socials.
I already knew that answer, but I just wanted to be respectful. People are like, why didn't you ask Erin?
Thanks for asking, but no, like I mean,
I'm
if
too
you want to
busy
see
traveling.
if you want to see what we're doing, go ask Mike. That's all I got.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah,
Brandon. I almost called you Hall. That's funny.
that's okay. Oh, I don't want to leave. Hold on.